And we're live.
Sonic Garden Radio live. Mang and Neads Show. It's the Mang and Neads Show. How do you do? Saturday, April 9th. Mang and Neads Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Mang and Neads Show live on Sonic Gardens Radio, where we bring you daily banter, and a little bit of updates on what's happening in our quarantine world.
Oh, no.
And yeah,
man.
today we had scheduled to have Mike Davis in here in front of the Sleeping Lion,
Fucking
but he had to cancel.
Oh.
And we're going on anyway, of course. This is our 55th day. 55th episode. And we're just happy to be here. Anybody that hasn't subscribed, please do. Just trying to build up our channel, get 1,000 subscribers, and bring you some daily content.
Fuck my white dove, go.
So today,
Today's the day.
you know, Kris had to say the great words of, let's get the old tools out. And it got old Josh excited up there.
Uh-oh.
And he broke out his iPad. And he's been rocking in this whole lead up to start the show today with his beats.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Dropping beats out here.
yeah. Leave it to these guys.
Leave it to us.
So again, you're listening to the Mang and Neads Show live on Sonic Gardens Radio.
Here we are.
Play some Sonic Gardens music. We got Kris today in front of the his cockpit in front of the Sleeping Lion.
Sleeping Lion. The cockpit.
So what's the latest, Josh? What do you got for me?
Oh, you know,
Same old?
same old shit.
New day.
It's a new day.
Oh yeah, wrong thing. That's why.
What happened?
Get it. I was looking for the Johnny clip.
Little Johnny. Here comes Johnny with his.
Is it another tractor? We're gonna get another tractor.
No, I think he's walking this time.
Okay.
He's probably deep in the PBR and didn't want to drive. Just sitting there. He was in there chatting. He's quite the comedian. Did you find it?
I sure did. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna kick off right away. Give you guys Johnny's words of the day, even though they weren't recorded today.
Right, they recorded. This is all leading up, folks.
But this is
Then taking documentation.
yeah.
It's like something tragic happened or something. But
Well, he's just trying to, just like us, keeping the world updated and
oh yeah, he's keeping people
trying
informed,
to
all right. That's
we're
what he
just
does.
trying to have a place somewhere to get. It just keeps us, we've been going every day. We're almost on 2 months of coming down here. Turned it into a full-time type of thing,
Fucking A.
7 days a week, rain, sleet, or snow.
Might not make it tomorrow.
That's right.
Might be busy.
Dun, dun, dun. Let me see here. All right, we're going to bring it up. We got Johnny.
John Camp, folks.
And,
Little Johnny, they call him.
and let's see if we can get a little bit of playback here.
Oh,
So the other day I was headed to the Amish to get
Jesus Christ, Johnny.
some rough cut lumber, some larch,
Some large.
good for building with.
It's good building.
I wanted to video my escapade over there, but
bet, you sick
apparently the
fucker.
Amish do not like to be videoed.
Amish porn with John
Probably because
Camp.
of that goddamn TV show. Amish
Probably,
Mafia.
Johnny. That's probably
I
exactly
wouldn't-
why.
Suspect that went over well in their culture. Old Lebanon Levi, he was our buddy, wasn't he?
Buddy. Fucking uphill
Needless to
gardener.
say, I was successful in attaining the lumber.
Well, no
and
shit.
Everything went smoothly. They're still in business over there. The COVID-19 has not affected them. Yet. I must stress that New York is in dire straits right now.
What a great
rough
band.
place to be.
What a hell of a band.
I'm fortunate enough to
be able to
escape it all up here into the hills and the abundance of natural resources to sustain myself for a few months if necessary.
With the mud pit to get away from the cops.
Avoid this stupid plague. My parents are elderly and getting up there in age. I don't need to be out and about bringing it home to them. My time is best served here with them, looking out for them, doing some work around their place while I have time off, and obviously keep plugging away here at my cabin, which has been nothing short of a blast so far building. I've had a great time. It's only been a few days that I've been at it, just about a week now, I suppose. As you can see behind me,
rocking.
The rock wall has come up tremendously. I got the rock wall up to about 3.5, 4 feet now.
Got myself a rock
I've
wall.
started to build the concrete block piers behind it, and for the cabin to sit on. I've also brought in some crusher run.
Sit it on there.
That down around the concrete piers to ensure that this thing is never gonna fucking go anywhere.
Fucker will be gone in 10 years.
Nice little view over my marshland here, and
you'll be able to see Uranus.
One day I'll get that cleared out and get a pond dug. Do another.
What's he listening to? Is he listening to REM?
See where we're at. Maybe shoot some video of me actually working.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
But it does, man. Shit gets done.
He'll be
rock and roll, over and out.
He'll be bent over the back of a truck or something. What the fuck? Yo.
So there we are. That was the Johnny update of the day. But when was that? That was probably also back in like April. Yeah. So we got a camera down today. My camera's down. I can't quite figure it out. Took me a little while to get started. That's
you got another camera up there or what?
I got all kinds of these things, but I just I need to do a little troubleshooting.
Oh. The shooter. So what do you got?
Not a lot, man.
Did you know that on this day, that in 1502, that cocksucker Christopher Columbus left from Spain to come over to the his final trip to the New World?
To stay? Where did he go? But he only made it to like the Caribbean, right?
Like
where?
This was his fourth trip.
Oh, okay.
Fourth one. Yep. He aged till about 54.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Hero.
So he was 53? He was about 54.
No, he aged to 54.
Oh, so he did make it to 54.
Yeah, that's what I said. He said he aged to 54.
So he was on his way to 55, in other words.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He was. He actually was going to be 55 that year.
Amazing.
In October. The 30th.
It's amazing, it's amazing they didn't whack him on his way over. People,
they whacked him. They whacked him. I don't know how he finally went. He fucked up everybody's life.
Did he?
Yeah, kind of. He's a bad man.
He was a,
cocksucker. Oh.
Oh, he was a pirate.
Oh,
basically.
Yeah, butt pirate. So, that's what he was up to. Getting her down.
Nice. So, yeah, man, I haven't
man?
I haven't kept up to date on any of the news, so I don't know what's going on there. The latest and greatest situation.
I don't know. I forgot how to read.
Yeah, you did. We got
What do we
have
got?
our latest numbers. We should pull up some see what's going on with our.
Fuck them numbers.
They're all fake. They're all fake anyway.
Cocksuckers. What else we got here?
So we got 1,341,281 cases in the United States. Supposedly.
That's
26% of the closed cases have been deaths, which is a high rate. We are rolling at, oh my God, deaths per million at 1,375 in New York State. A total on the U.S. is 241 per million people are going to die. Yeah, that that TV show, The Leftovers. That's what it was about. Was 2% of the people just disappeared, and then it was about like how the world continued on with like that happening, you know, in a flash, and you know all the events and the way that it changed everybody's lives, and I mean that's kind of what the same circumstance of if we lose 2%, that's a lot.
the 2%. We don't want to lose them.
Not the 2% milk either.
No.
Some people, they need that.
Texas had 1,177 yesterday.
Oh shit. Florida.
Fifth to dead.
Florida's got 800. New York, man.
Not
New
fucking around.
cases. New cases are still up there. It's that whole weekend thing. I imagine.
Yeah. The whole weekend thing.
The weekend thing where the numbers always seem to go down a little bit.
Except for when they don't.
Yesterday, still rolling in at a total in the U.S. of 29,000 cases in one day. Means we're still rallying around that 30,000 mark and not dropping.
No drop.
2 months in.
Mbop. Hansen.
And what'd they say from the beginning? A 3-month stay in place. So this thing's supposed to be going.
So grab your whacker.
Ryan asked if we could mute you for this segment.
Oh.
Oh, what do you got to say to that one?
Oh, I don't, nothing. Got nothing to say to him.
Oh.
Got nothing for him.
So what else? We woke up to a damn another snowstorm, right?
Oh, yeah. We're a fucking nor'easter.
Yesterday was just coming down hard, and here we are, May 9th.
Really?
And this is
9th of
how,
May?
when I was younger.
When were you younger? Oh.
Yesterday.
Exactly.
The whole April showers brings May flowers.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time we had April showers? Like, we're talking 30, 40 years ago, it seems like.
When's the last time you had May flowers that lived? No.
Yeah, it's more like April snowstorms bring May snowstorms.
Yeah, Ange, that's exactly what it's like this year. Yeah. It always snows in May. Maybe not this late, but it snowed last year in May.
Did it?
Fucking A.
I mean, I do remember.
Is that Twinkle Bell or what?
For many, many
Jingle
years.
Bell?
Yeah, that's why we're busting out the Christmas music, because we're so looped and out of whack with everything that
the
we might
alphabet
as well.
song. A, B, C, D.
We're looking for Christmas trees.
They are looking for ornaments.
Ornaments.
They need some ornaments for their tree.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we got Kris in today.
Yeah, that's
playing
him.
us some beats.
In the flesh.
Kris, why don't you give us a...
with the sneaky lion. Oh, yeah.
the tunes. So we're looking at 4:41.
Oh.
4:41 on Saturday afternoon.
Jesus, it's 4:41 already?
Yeah, we started late.
We got a late start to the show.
And
We had a
here
video
are.
from Johnny.
Yeah, we did. Let me play a song from the archives.
Oh, he's got a song for us, Kris. He's got a original.
In just a flash of a moment.
He'll find it
Move in.
here in a minute. Once he finds it.
As soon as I get there.
When he's got it, he'll have it.
Oh, yeah.
Folks.
For sure.
What the fuck did Warner say?
He said he wanted you to get muted.
I'll fucking mute him. Fucking
All right, guys, we're going to give you
Uncle fucking
Ben Miner's Crying Eyes from the sessions the other day.
crying thighs.
Crying eyes, long to find you.
I can hear it.
Lost cause. Don't know why. Me behind you. It's just the way that it was. When I give you all that I can give you, you stay right away that you need more. Been gambling so hard with them stacked deck of cards. Christ, what am I playing for? Still I'm sad on the inside, trying to take the lows with the highs. Sometimes they all come together with my crying eyes. Crying eyes, long to hold you. It's a long lost cause. Don't know why left me behind you. It's just the way that it was. Like a steel train pull out from the station. I can smell the change in the air. I can taste the salt pouring from my heart. I don't see you anywhere. Days pass slowly. Heard there's a moon on the rise. Everything's a little out of focus with my crying eyes. Most of the time I'm alright. She's not even in my mind. I can even recall the way her lips felt on mine. Now most of the time, maybe someday we'll meet on higher ground. Maybe when we're both a little more wise. For now I'm standing alone with my crying eyes.
All right, and we're back. That was Buckshot's brother performing Crying Eyes. That was by J.J.
J.
Cale.
Cale, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Oh, no.
We
What are we doing here?
We
What
get
is
it,
going
motherfucker.
on?
That's what it said in my ears. I like this song so much I decided that I'll just listen to it again. Yeah.
What was
buddy.
playing that time?
Same song.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, now it's like, is that you? Oh. Then we went into some, I thought I was like a Maybelline commercial, but it's Kris.
So,
Tell
was
me.
enough snow out there to have any plowing needed to be done?
No plowing. Nah, because it did more like the grass and the porches and stuff. Didn't stick a lot to the driveways and stuff.
Right.
They were warmed up.
Yeah.
They
As
were
soon as
hot.
As soon as that sun
like
came
warm as
out
butt.
a little bit. As soon as that sun
warmed
came
up.
out, and yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
One of the dudes that was gonna UFC fight tonight tested positive for corona.
Oh shit. Who was it?
Jacare.
Sochi? Who is it?
Jacare. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Sochi?
yeah. It wasn't the main event, but hey,
No, it wasn't the main event.
they're still going on it.
Oh yeah, they're going down.
Yeah, Ferguson Gaethje tonight.
Oh yeah,
That's tonight
yeah,
on the island.
yeah.
It's
Crazy.
in Florida.
Should have done a drive-in
It's in
UFC
Jackson.
fight out here
Where is it?
on
It's
the
in
wall.
Florida.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Because it's opened up.
it's opened up.
They got 3 fights there this week in Florida.
No fans though. Tonight's like big time card, right?
Yeah, it's one of the
Starts
best
at
cards
6
ever.
and then
Yeah.
pay for free at 6, right? On the ESP.
I don't know,
Oh.
but that sounds good.
Oh.
Yeah, the preliminaries are going to be free.
Yeah. Get the people watching.
I don't think it's going to be a huge
What's
huge
that?
turnout. I mean, I don't think they're going to like break any pay-per-view records.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. How much is it? How much is the fight?
It's going to be the same price it always is. Like $60.
What the fuck?
Dude, every time you knock on that.
Well, I can't hear.
Yeah, but you're knocking into the world. Like you're knocking on the thing. Just tell me you can't hear it. I'll try and turn you up.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can hear that.
Can you hear yourself now?
Yeah.
All right. I can't tell because I don't have those headphones on. I just have a setting that I usually leave it at. But if things get louder, maybe something else is loud in your ear. Like this. Causing.
Somebody's jamming, whoever it is. Sounds like corn, I think.
What's up with that one?
It's UFC tonight, man.
Oh,
That's the
they're gonna tell us you can't play that song.
Yeah.
We get in trouble when we play
What
music.
in the fuck, Kris? Good thing that band blows. Nobody knows who it is. Or we
They
do.
know the freaking trackers that.
Old track back.
Yeah.
That's the UFC, he says.
So hey, we're going. It's our
Live?
55th day
Oh.
live. You know, we ain't got a lot to talk about today,
Nope.
obviously, but you know, just keeping this thing rolling every day.
What happened? We figured we'd do it again? What the fuck?
I thought I turned it off. I'm sorry.
He's like, they didn't catch us the first time. Maybe if I play it again, they'll catch us. Oh, man. Well,
Yeah, we're gonna need we need some call-in support. Anybody wants to call in 607-373
save yourself.
heat, or call in on the on my number. Anybody's got the my phone number.
What is it? 607-373.
Heat.
Show us the heat.
All right, I'm going to call in.
Hello.
Well,
Hello.
oh, did you know on this day, I forgot all about it. The FDA approved the pill.
What?
For abortion, or whoops, for so you wouldn't get so you wouldn't get pregnant. Yeah. May
That
9th,
one made a lot of people really mad.
May 9th, 1960. Well, I mean, no. When you would, it did.
Right?
Oh.
I mean, it made some people mad.
Well, no, it's so you wouldn't get pregnant, right?
Yeah, but religious people.
Oh well, I mean, I don't know any. I don't.
You don't know that there's a big debate about stuff like that?
Well, there's a big debate that they don't want you. They don't want you once you're pregnant doing anything.
Oh, so I don't think that they're for that either. It's the same thing.
Oh.
It's
Well, I mean,
preventing the Lord from doing.
well, that's none of their
His
fucking
work.
business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They don't. What the fuck? If you wanna fucking, yeah, you wanna get her done and not and just let people blow it in, or and yeah, if you don't want to get pregnant, you should have that right as a human.
Yeah.
So take the pill, if you will. They worked on it for a while.
Yeah. And then when? 1980?
No,
1970.
1960.
Oh,
May
60.
9th, 1960, the FDA approved it. They'd been working on it since like 50 some fucked around, and like in 54 they figured something out.
There weren't too many side effects. Enough that they considered it bearable.
Right. Yeah. John Rock, he was a gynecologist, Harvard Medical School, man. He didn't fuck around.
John Rock.
Yeah, he got together with Gregory Pincus, biochemist from the Worcester Foundation for experimental biology. And they came up with it. And it worked. And the FDA approved it.
And
There
now
you
it's
have it.
history.
And now that
Cha-ching.
is history. Yes. What's his name died?
Who dat?
Little Richie, right?
When did he die?
Right? Today? Yesterday? Today?
Oh,
Today,
man.
I think. This morning?
Little
maybe?
Richard.
I think, right? Yeah. Little Richard, Big Dick? Yeah, pretty sure yeah. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Don't tell anyone else about me.
Yeah. Who's that, Chris? Is it-
No, wait.
No way? Well, they fucking, they killed, former Italian Prime Minister, Aldo Moro in 1978 on this day. Or they found him dead. He might have been killed a couple days before. Some, like, a, terrorist, party, like, took him and were trying to negotiate him. The Red Brigade terrorist.
Oh yeah.
They took him, and they were trying to get some of their people out of jail or whatever, and the government wouldn't have it. They wouldn't do it, and they took him like on March 11th or something, I believe, and then they wouldn't trade whatever, and then the terrorist people just killed him.
They were like, okay,
Yeah,
fuck it.
they got him in March, so they didn't kill him until May, but still, they tried for a bit, but they couldn't get nothing for him.
Looks like
Yep.
the states are moving to expand their testing capabilities.
Really?
I think they're everybody's realizing that there is no way around it. We have to be able to test.
Huh.
You can't reopen until there's testing improves. And we're like 25 on the list of people that per capita.
Huh. Fucking.
Yep, more than 77,000 people have died.
Really? Well, fucking in 1887 on this day, Buffalo Bill's Wild West show opened in London, man. Fucking A. Giving Queen Victoria something to look at over there. Other than that, on this day, the Beatles. They signed, I think they signed their first contract in 1962 on this day.
Oh, yeah?
I don't even like the fucking Beatles, but you know what I mean? I'll share a little history. So there you have it. You can't have it both ways. But if you didn't know, now you know. Both things.
Which Beatles you talking about?
Not the Bug. The Beatles.
The Beatles.
Yeah. The super group. So yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to cut to
And
a guest here,
who?
Mr. Ryan Warner.
Oh,
ready
Dick
to
Trickle.
chat with us.
He's on the phone, huh?
Despite all your,
What?
he's ready. We're gearing up.
That motherfucker. Let's hear him.
Yo.
Why isn't he in my ear?
There he is.
Oh.
What's up, bro?
What's up? How you doing, Ryan?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Wonderful weather we're having.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
You got your mask on so your nose don't
Nope.
get cold?
No, but speaking of masks,
Yeah?
there is a lot of truth behind, your masks giving you complications as far as, respiratory shit and all that stuff. Because if you put on a mask and don't wash it and just keep breathing into it every day, it'll breed bacteria just because it's your breath, and that's what happens.
Oh, hot breath.
Yeah,
Right.
so you can get, if you don't have, and plus, if you flip it around and you're touching it and it's touching other shit,
Touching
And you're
you.
and you're just breathing into it, the moisture alone,
Touching me.
yeah, along with your breath and all that stuff, and this
Right.
is from way back. This isn't even coronavirus stuff. This
Right.
is just like,
Carpentry and stuff.
right, just wearing, normal, like respirators and
Stuff around the house so you don't get into the asbestos.
yeah. But yeah, that's
Clean your
so,
mask.
and the only reason I know that is because people are digging up these articles
Oh,
and
yeah.
posting them. And I was like, dude, this is from October
We've been waiting.
1998.
We've been waiting for our favorite Facebook reporter to call us up. We didn't have any. None of my
Speaking of that,
none of my friends. Well, actually, I haven't been on the book, so I wouldn't know. I didn't get to see any of the doctor. But plus, I didn't think the doctors worked on the weekend. But
they're working.
Oh,
They're working, man. Someone just shared a post from
All right.
March 20th
all right.
about
This is a doctor or a lawyer? Might do both.
He's tough. Yeah, he's tough. See, I gotta watch it because this person could knock me out.
Oh,
So
all right.
these are the type of, the guy that made this post is the type of people that other people, it allows them to run their mouth about Trump on Facebook because
Oh,
he's like one of the real formidable opponents. But anyway,
right.
he posted it, how masks are dangerous, and it was from March 20th,
Right.
and it referenced old like proper procedure with wearing masks and stuff like that.
Right.
And how if you're a doctor, you wear it and throw it away. You don't wash anything. You don't wash a fucking mask. You wear it and dispose of it. But anyway,
Huh.
so how's it going in the mAng and Neads world?
Hey,
No
hey.
Mike Davis, huh?
He did not make it. I don't know. I didn't talk to him. What's his name? Or Angelo did. I don't know what happened.
That's too bad. He tears it up, man.
Yeah.
He looks like a school teacher,
Yeah.
and he fucking
Yeah.
rocks it.
Oh yeah. School of Rock.
I saw him the first time he played a craft show at Oxford,
Oh.
in the Oxford High School.
Right.
It was lame. Like, I was the coolest booth there
Oh.
by by any stretch of the imagination. Like people are selling like Christmas ornaments and little crocheted dolls that go over top of your toilet paper, you know, that sort of thing.
Right.
And he gets up, and I was like, you know, oh, here we go, you know. And you know him, he just, you know, khaki pants, his shirt, you know, whatever.
Khaki.
And I was like, oh, here we go, probably gonna be, you know, some kumbaya stuff.
And he just got up
ripped
there
it
and fucking tore it up.
on an acoustic guitar, ripped it up.
Right.
And the dude he was playing with was some old man.
Yeah.
And
he's not old though.
Man,
He's
the whole,
younger
the
than
whole
us. Isn't he?
judging the book by the cover thing. And I was like, wow.
How old? He's young. Or how old is he? Old? He's not old, is he, Mike Davis?
No, the dude that played with him was pretty old. You know, he had to be 40 at least.
Huh.
So I just watched Back to the Future today, the OG Back to the Future. And so I found this super interesting because in the beginning of the movie, it's a great movie. Back to the Future is a great movie.
All right, I'll take your word for
and
it.
it's chock full of things because everything is not foreshadowing I don't know, but everything in the beginning is a reference to the movie, and you just don't realize it yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to watch it again. So, but the mom is old. She got bags under her eyes. She's fat. You know, sitting at the table. You know, she's
Big
an
boned.
alcoholic, and
she
looks all beat up, and you know, and then he travels back to 1955, and I remember watching it, being like, "Wow, they went back in time."
Yeah, that's
just like Huey Lewis said, man.
title of the movie.
Yeah, and it's
But get it, Back to the Future.
yeah, well, that's the other way. This is
Yeah.
so anyway, his whole development hasn't been made yet. You know, they don't even know who JFK is. And to me, when I was watching it in 1985, I'm like, JFK is still black and white TV. That he died in 63.
Right.
You know, and so JFK is old as balls, and JFK hadn't even been a thing yet. You know what I'm saying? In 55.
Right.
So
Hadn't happened
when I
yet.
was watching 85, it was so long ago. 1955, you know, it's like when my dad talks about growing up. I'm like, oh, listening to the radio shows and
Right.
you know, all that shit.
Right.
So
Kissing your cousin.
right, you know,
Right.
when that was cool.
Yeah, when they still did
And,
that.
But so now I'm 20 years out of high school, so it'd be another 10 years, and but it's 30 years, not that fucking long, man.
Not long ago.
It really shows like how much like things changed a lot from 55 to 85. I mean, a lot. They haven't changed that much from 85 to now. I mean, they have like, you know, technology, cell phones. That's the next thing. It's like
It's
so
going to be
from, like,
unrecognizable.
ESPN
In 30
alerts.
years from now, our world is going to be unrecognizable from today. That's like the
Right.
That's basically the way it goes.
Right. So we have a little sweet spot to where basically the late 70s all the way through like 75, 85, 95 were pretty, you know, yeah, video games came up, but even in 95, video games were pretty limited. You know what I mean? There was no crazy video games like the internet. You know, there was no real internet
Yeah, the
in 95.
The
So
bits
it's like
were still
that
small.
30-year span, Back to the Future wouldn't have made much sense. You know, there wasn't crazy development, you know, like, I mean, in our area anyway, not much has changed. Norwich looks exactly the same as it did. Like there isn't even, like the Y moved. You know what I mean? And,
Well,
but again, a lot of, you know, a lot of
things
places went out of business, but
Well, you see these
The
things
Busy
that are,
Bee's not
like,
there anymore. And the
like I
building
have,
across from there.
I have the hologram speedometer on my truck that like shines into the window,
upside
and
down
so-
up onto the window. Yeah.
and you can like see
bomb.
through it. So you can see how that's like the first step to the future of car,
Oh yeah.
where the whole dash will be, you can see through, but you can still see like you'd see your speed, you'd see like the radio, everything will just be on the entire window, the windshield.
On the winter.
Yeah, see, that's what you think, but then the future is really going to be like our kids are going to be like, Dad, did you guys really have cars where you could like you had to know like how fast you were going, or you could push a pedal to make it go faster. Was that really a thing?
Did you really drive cars back in the day?
Yeah.
Because
Did they really let you do that? Did they let you just get
Like,
in a
there
car
was
and go
a-
anywhere?
There was I dug into that Westworld because I got it, so I watched a few episodes late last night. But
yeah.
but
Hey,
one
I think Josh's mic's off. I didn't hear him say, "Here we go."
so he
night.
said, "Oh yeah," instead,
Late-
real soft, like he wanted to have sex with me.
Late night. Late night.
So
It was late
Oh,
night.
quarantine, man.
Wonder World. What was the
turning
movie?
him. It's turning him.
it's turning him.
Wonder movie. Late night.
No, but the one of the things
What is it called? Wonderworks?
it's called West,
Oh.
like Western movie, Westworld.
Oh, late night Westworld.
Westworld's what they call
Last-
that area that
He
is
goes
like,
last night, late
it's
theme
night.
like
park.
the theme park of
Yeah.
Westworld. Okay, but what I
Well,
wanted to say was that they had
tell us
cars.
about it.
They had the cars.
Tell us. What are you gonna say?
What are you going to tell
I've
us?
been trying for like 6 minutes, probably. So-
Come on, it wasn't 6 minutes. It's
60
a good
seconds.
minute. It's a good minute and a half.
Oh, here we go.
I like the way they identified the cars. The cars were all self-driving, all around. They came, if you needed a car pulled up.
A car
The
comes?
door's open, but obviously it's not a front seat and a back seat. It might as well be a surround, almost like a limousine.
Ooh.
Or
You know?
carriage.
Like
Carriage.
Yeah, like a carriage. Right. Goes back to carriage
Like
style.
a stagecoach.
So you open up the doors and
Stagecoach,
you're
yeah.
you're all sitting facing each other and the thing takes you where you want to go. Another factor they threw into it was like if the cops are after you, they lock down your doors, they pull your car right over. Like you don't have
the capability
Getaway
to get
capability.
away.
yeah, so cars would be like 100% controlled by they could shut you down.
Seems fun.
Yeah, so obviously Josh's Trans Am doesn't exist in Westworld.
Unless you go to 80s world.
Yeah.
Unless
And
you
then
go to the
it's-
metalhead world.
And it's a Camaro.
It's called Metal World, and you go in there,
Have
and
you,
everybody's got a mullet and a fucking jean jacket, and fucking what else?
The
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Some
Oh,
people
that's
have
funny,
those
man.
MC Hammer pants kicking.
Fuck yeah.
I still say that
You
our
got a
entire
pair?
this is
Oh.
the shift in society where our clothing is gonna change, and we're gonna get out of like
It's
we're gonna
the
have clothing
shift.
that we can like wipe down. You can like like I said, it's gonna shift, man.
Sure we are.
Jumpsuits,
Old raincoat Ange.
jumpsuits with
Old rubber suit.
See, I had a thought.
Yeah,
Tell
you
us, tell us what your thought was.
you did.
Um,
You definitely had a thought.
Well,
That's all you do is think of crazy shit.
yeah. So see, here's how I always picture the future, and I already mentioned it. I picture my kids. The same thing I say to my dad. I'm like, Dad, are you serious? You really like your phone? Like you used to have to pick it up, and there was like a party line. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, really? That's the way it was? And how weird is that? And
Well, you know
all
what?
that
How
I
weird.
actually had that too in
How
the country.
weird is that?
So as a
Right.
kid, I remember sharing with the neighbor,
Yeah, it's so weird. You pick it up, someone will be on it. You gotta wait for them. to
and it'd
get
be
off
your
or
neighbor.
something.
Yeah, be
Somebody
like,
you don't even
motherfucker,
know
I need to use the
You
necessarily.
phone.
just listen. You could just listen to
Yeah.
the conversation.
Well, Sally's over there talking about fucking Ronnie, and she's
So
married.
that's how I picture it, and because it's easier, it helps you not like make because everyone's idea of the future it has too much ties to the present because you can't break. You can't break from that idea. Well, I couldn't anyway. But it's easier when you think about it like a kid, thinking how absurd the future, what we think the future is now. Like for example, they'd be like, "Did you really have to hold a little box? You had a little black box, and you used to have to hold it to your face to talk to people." Like that is so weird. Like, what if you put it down and didn't know where you put it?
Put it
You know
down.
what I mean? It's like, how everything seems so obsolete. But anyway, I thought of that where like if
But anyway.
you had the pandemic or whatever it was, and this is a while ago. I don't know what made me
Yep.
think of it, but that you would have
don't either.
to be coated like spray tanned when you left the house.
Ooh.
And you'd have to be
So
you'd
what
have to
you're
be coated
saying
up
is-
and down in some kind of latex that went
So
right
what
onto
you're
your
saying
skin,
is Trump's ahead of us.
Yeah, exactly. He probably is. But it went like you need a skim coat, before you went out, and it could be different colors, different whatever. That's always the human part of it, is you can customize it. But
yeah, clear coat. I want a clear coat, motherfucker.
Well, it's already changed the way I think of it now. Even watching Back to the Future, man.
You really think about the future like this?
Well, I just it's changed the way the pandemic has changed the way I think about normal things now. Like I watch him walking into their house, and he crouches down and talks to his uncle. He's like, "Get used to these bars, kid." When the kid's in the playpen because his uncle Joey's in prison.
I don't know nothing about that movie.
And to me, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're just gonna let that stranger come in and
the only thing I know about that movie
crib
is the car.
Like he could have something.
Yeah, you see that stuff in like the old Twilight Zones too. The way it'd be like a guy would be in town and he'd be all confused because he just went into a time warp, and people would be so kind and like, how you doing, neighbor? Can we get you anything?
That motherfucker.
Haven't seen you around. Like whatever the thing is, it's like
it's
not like that. Yeah,
I didn't catch that one.
Another one. Have you ever watched them Black Mirror series?
No, I have not.
Warner?
Say that.
No.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, because that one of the most amazing in there that
Kris,
seems.
have you seen it?
That seems extremely. Chris is like you. He doesn't watch those types of things. He might see.
Chris
doesn't
me
watch
some
Black
good
Mirror?
stories.
Chris, you don't watch Black Mirror?
Nah,
So Black Mirror is like individual episodes. Yeah, they're like individual episodes that
It's the Twilight
like the
Zone,
Twilight Zone. And what's really cool is it's all based around future technologies, but even beyond future technologies and just the idea of it, it's things that are just within our grasp currently.
You know what I did watch?
So it makes it that much more realistic. Hold your thought, please.
Can I finish?
And so this one episode, for example.
I can't finish.
All right, you okay, Josh?
Yeah.
All right.
Fucking mute him.
Hold in there. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there.
Push the mic away.
Mutiny.
So the one I really liked, or that really set. Fucking guy.
Is he still talking? I can't hear him.
I got the mic away. That's why.
Okay. Is the one when they everybody has an optical lens that they put on their eyeball. So now this goes back to actually I'm not sure if it was like that, but that's how I'm gonna describe it. It might have been an implant, but it may have just been a simple contact lens. Okay? And you put it on your eye, and it basically records everything in your life, and you have a little remote control in your pocket, a little tiny thing.
It's like one of them little monocles.
No, it's like a contact lens.
Oh.
So you'd put it on, and it would be like
the planner's
so. Then
peanut.
that contact lens. This is obviously super nanotechnology of like the how small it would be, and have to be glass and all that stuff. But so the story basically it tells the story of
good one.
Of the situation where if everybody had that. So one, it's like, oh Josh, man, I did this really cool thing, and I could, instead of telling you a story, I could just pull it up. Like even right now, we'd be able to link
and
it all.
Show me the story.
Yesterday, just like Johnny was doing his little thing, only your whole life gets recorded.
Right. Johnny.
Not only does it get recorded, but you can go back to that stuff and relive it in your eye. So if you're whatever it is,
the John
the awesome
sequel
dirt bike jump that you did, you can just do it again and again and again. Not only can you do that, you can super zoom in on it, ultimate. So if you're in a mountain range and there was some guy up on the mountain, you could zoom in on that
Shoot
guy.
that fucker down.
Yeah, you might not have seen him. You might not have seen him originally, but you can go back and zoom in.
Yeah.
Oh, look at what I saw.
Oh my God, this was all there, and relive these things again and again.
Oh.
So that links to everything. So what the story though comes down to is it's basically the story of a couple.
Ooh.
And now, so you take that technology, everybody has it. It's just the thing, just like everybody has a cell phone and everybody has Facebook or YouTube or whatever, it's like everybody's on this world, and everybody sits around and shares their experiences and talk to each other and show their picture, same thing. But now all of a sudden, every time the couple would get into a fight or a disagreement, you can go back. Like somebody says, you
So
said
it's literal,
this.
he said, she
So
said.
you said last week that you didn't love me, and you're like, that's not what I said. And
Motherfucker.
and then you're actually rewinding your thing and replaying it and this and that, and it just gets
sounds incriminating.
it turns like Twilight Zone type episode, but it's the whole point that that's like an amazing technology that is really right within our grasp. That
It's fucking scary.
may really, that's kind of why. That's what I'm saying. That's what's cool about those episodes is it's things that are so close to a possible future, and it kind of looks at the other angle of it. There was probably stories about cell phones and how that was going to destroy society. And if you really think about it, it changed the whole, like cell phones changed the whole world of like cheating and, doing like going like back in the 50s, like you're saying, if a guy was like cheating on his wife, then that girl had to call between 6 and 7
I have my
at the
panties
house,
off.
you know what I mean? And then now it's
Right.
like, there's things in place to like
That's why they had to
make
fuck
sure
their
you can do
secretaries.
private and like all these different
Yeah, but
things.
you can also search someone's device to catch them cheating.
Yeah, that too. So that, and then that
Top
that
detective.
that puts people into a
Ryan
new
Warner.
obsession. Like maybe back in the 50s, some lady would be upset with her husband, or some guy would be upset with his wife and be following
Running
her
over.
around and driving all over town and tracking where she was. But now they're sitting there,
Private
putting
investigators.
and now they're putting little
camera in
checking
their
the
ass.
phone when they get
Oh.
in the shower and like going through all the mess, and like if
Track
someone's
my
under.
iPhone.
Yeah, they know where you is.
So it's a whole different world, and
Get it, log into my Snapchat.
yeah, like think like when we were in high school, if you wanted to like hang out with your friends, you had to call them at their house,
And their mother would
and
answer.
and you'd be like,
And I'd have to like,
"Can I talk to Ryan?"
this is Tom looking for Ryan.
You know what I mean? Now,
Yep.
now you don't even know who your kids, kids are talking to tons of people. Dude, my son's, he's so funny. He goes to
Oh,
a
you're a funny
website
kid.
specifically called
He's got a funny
Talk to Strangers. That's the name of it. And he goes, I know that sounds awful, but nobody's
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound good.
nobody's outsmarting my 14-year-old kid as far as some dude on on the internet.
Your son isn't getting catfished.
He tells me the funniest piece. But he also has come to me with like, people are sharing all kinds of like weird information on that just miscellaneous facts,
Sounds like a good
conspiracy
place to let 'em hang
theories,
out.
Stuff like that. I don't
Huh.
let them do, hey man, you got to pick your fights. That's what I say.
Oh boy.
Pick your
Well,
battles.
on that
Otherwise, you're
note
fighting
of
about
the
everything.
of Black Mirror, the the one with the point system.
Oh
thumbs
yeah,
up,
that
thumbs down and all that.
nosedive.
Yeah,
that was
a
great.
real good one. So
Yep.
here's my thing on that.
And that one
Okay.
happened in China, right? China did that.
China.
They're
They
doing it now.
they implemented the
Merit
social.
system.
No, it's it's a social score, credit score, like same kind of thing as a
it's a
person. It's like a credit score, but part of your credit score is based on your character and what people think of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're shitting me.
Nope. So yeah, that one, Josh. There was this one episode where every interaction you had with a person, like you and me right now,
Right.
I'd be like, "Hey, Josh," and like after the first part of this show, I would give you like maybe 2 stars just because you smiled a lot, but we'd be judging each other, and you'd be like, "Yeah, you were kind of a dick earlier, so I'm gonna give you 1 star, fucker," and it would actually affect my social credit score.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Like you couldn't apply for a loan because
Right.
you weren't a nice enough person.
and they
so you
called
wouldn't
right.
get-
You
you wouldn't get
couldn't
the
live
loan.
in a house if you didn't have a social credit score of X. And it wasn't like you'd be going to get loans at the bank, but they're not for money. They're for ways to improve your social standing.
Ooh.
And they'd be like giving you advice like, hang out with people that are, upper level. Hang out with more 3s and 4s so that you can get yourself to the 4, and there's a whole like concept. So it's again, I don't know how far China went when they did it or like how that exactly worked, but.
Oh, I didn't realize it was even a thing.
No, they like it. Yeah, it totally is.
See, but I know. So even about that, because it kind of bridges the gap, because it's kind of what I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
But augmented reality, right?
Yeah.
Augmented reality goggles. Okay. So let's say, have you done Instagram filters or Messenger filters or whatever the fuck it is, where you can put, you look into the screen and you see your face when you're talking to someone else, and you can put a filter over it. All these girls make their eyes bigger.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's a disorder now, to where these girls will only take pictures with the big eyes because they think their eyes look too small, and now they just won't take a photo without that filter anymore. So augmented reality. So let's say you can set that filter, and you can put it on to where it's a frequency like everything else. So you have your goggles on, the other people have the other, and when I say goggles, it could easily be the eyepiece you were talking about from Black Mirror. Like, you don't have to actually see it. It could be contact lenses, right? But what it does is it's able to take your information that you are broadcasting from your phone or your device. It's in your pocket, and it can be like, I want everyone to look at me that has their augmented reality glasses on. I want them to see my eyes,
to see me this
bigger,
way.
like a fucking Bratz doll.
Right.
Because that's how I want to be seen. Or you could put a blocker on, so there is no augmented reality or anything like that.
That is actually, I didn't think of it like that. Like, when I was thinking augmented, I was thinking like you could see things, and there would be like, oh, that's a cool, like a guy playing his guitar over there. But I didn't realize, using that same filter system of being able to. Yeah,
you can make yourself taller if you want, because it's a real easy algorithm how it finds it. And these things are pretty precise, like the Facebook ones. They know where your eyes, your nose, they know when you open your mouth. And right now, this is like Madden fucking football from the OG Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like the pixelated Madden. Like, this is baby steps. You give it 10 years, the augmented reality is going to be fucking insane. So now, if you compare it, and I remember talking about this on our first podcast, or maybe one of our first podcasts, but about the sex industry, the virtual reality sex industry.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be able to buy a sex bot, and you're going to have augmented reality goggles. So the sex bot will be a blank slate. It won't even have eyes or anything like that. But when you put your augmented reality glasses on, you see whatever you want to see. You could make it Michelle Obama. You could make it anybody you want.
Right. So you could.
Right, you could, different porn stars could sell that software. They're like, hey, if you want your bot to look like me, fucking buy my software package. And of course, there'll be hacks, and people will make it so you can see like Jennifer Aniston, who would never sell her image, but someone will hack her, so that's what you'll see. And it can happen on live people also. But what you were talking about with your credit score, so that's going to start happening in society, to where people, like, when you see them, it's going to put up their status. So when you see the person, it's going to have like little symbols to be like, oh, he's got a good credit score. He owns his own house. He's got this, he's got that. He's been to jail. He's a fucking pedophile. Like whatever it is, and you won't be able to escape that. And it has a thing to do with microchipping. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a pedophile, you're going to get fucking microchipped. And that microchip is going to forever tell everyone.
Yeah, and regardless of how anybody feels about, all that stuff, and they're like, they want to, it's inevitable that eventually they will sell us. And honestly, I remember 10 years ago, I want to say Sprint had already started to pitch the idea of a wrist microchip for the cell phone.
Yeah,
and they,
for sure.
and then they,
I remember the commercial.
There was a bit of an outrage, and then, but it doesn't mean they didn't continue with the technology. Just said it wasn't the right time.
Yeah, they showed someone checking out at the grocery store with it. I remember the commercial, like, in a future where blah 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 blah. You won't have to do this. You won't have to do that. Beep. They run the wrist over it, and it's like, oh, you have, however many credit points left. But so this augmented reality thing, it's a lot of people can say like, well, I just won't do it. Like Josh, I'm not going to do it. I won't have Facebook. I'm not going to get into it. But then you're going to be like a fucking psychopath. That was on Joe Rogan, actually. That they talked about that on Joe Rogan, to where people that don't go along with it, the younger generation is going to be like, ew, this guy won't even put his social status on his augmented info, you know? So he walks around and there's like, you look at him and you got your VR augmented reality goggles on, and you look at a dude walking down the street, he doesn't have any symbols floating over his head.
No symbols.
You know, he doesn't have the golden crown of perfect credit, or you know, whatever. You can get one if you're a high school basketball champion.
Above
you
his
can
head.
get these little fucking symbols, because it's the same thing that human culture's been doing forever. You know, like Letterman jackets. You know, you wear the jacket.
Yeah, like how many
you get your-
people do you know right now that either have a
Suck
no
dick.
phone, or like a flip phone, or
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't
Not
know
very
shit.
many. Not very
No,
many.
and you do, and you know, see, and that's the thing. And the people that I know that don't have phones, or that do have flip phones,
Can't use them.
but they're great people, and they're
Oh.
doing it righteously in the right way, and I love it. If I didn't have a job that required me sharing images, I wouldn't have a fucking phone.
If
I
you-
don't talk to anyone.
Yo, man, I think I was really happy that Apple just came out with a special edition
Ooh,
iPhone
because
that
of
is
the meltdown.
size. That's the size of the iPhone 7, right?
Oh.
Which is when they were still real small.
Small phone,
And
Ryan.
I not real small, but you
Oh.
know, smaller. And
He got small phone.
no, like I haven't upgraded, and I've had my phone for
Did
about
you go
3
get
years.
the small phone then?
So I did. I ordered this one. Basically, I had to get a phone.
Had
So,
to do it, Warner.
Had to do it, but it was actually cheaper. So it was an iPhone of the most modern, special edition, small version.
SE.
SE for it was $400.
Fucking rolling
That's
in the
not
big. 400.
Yeah, but it isn't $1,200 for that. It doesn't
Well,
have.
I mean-
it doesn't have 3 cameras. It doesn't have like. I'm not getting it for my like. It's
Instagram.
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He's
I'm
not
doing
shooting
it
his
for Instagram.
home videos on it, Warner.
No, man. I got it. Yeah, like I
He's
got,
got
it.
a camera for
Came in
that.
third.
I got it because I needed a new phone. But I was happy.
But I think the scariest part, not to cut you off, but before I forget it,
Oh, you're gonna
the
cut
scariest
someone
part
off?
is the younger generation that is going to be creeped out by people that won't publicly
Don't
display
you give
their
me
private
shit
information.
for cutting people off?
That's my point. Right.
You know, you're going to be a fucking outcast.
Oh boy.
So you're going to
Oh,
just like that nosedive thing. You know what I mean? If you have
Right.
a bad credit score, or you unplug like the trucker, and you don't have anything,
The
you don't say, "Oh, I want
trucker.
to give you 2 stars." It's like too fucking bad.
Remember
I don't have
that?
a- I don't
Remember
have a
that?
rating.
What that lady? She was like, I used
Who?
to be 5 stars. And she's like,
Kaylee?
no way.
Kaylee?
Yeah,
You
you
were?
dirty truck driver.
Yeah. So it was cool,
it's-
Josh. Like the this thing, man.
Yeah.
You know,
it
it
coming.
was like the story of like this girl that
This is the Black Mirror?
yeah, one of these episodes,
All
and
right.
it was like this girl gets invited to her friend's to be in her friend's wedding.
Ooh.
You know.
Nothing like
But
a
her
good wedding.
friend is like super, you know, elite, you know. So she's all
Jesus.
wants to
Scared
get
the
there,
shit out of me, dude.
and
Her
basically,
elite friend is from one of Josh's favorite movies.
You
I
fucking
can't remember
come
the name,
running
but go ahead.
through there like that scared the shit out of me.
we lost him.
All right, what movie was my favorite, Warner? I heard you coming
The
up.
girl
with
was in when one.
she's out of your league.
Oh,
That's the name of the movie.
yeah, I don't.
I know you
don't.
got it on VHS.
and you watch it. You learn your moves.
This is great. I don't know.
No, so it's just interesting because that whole thing where she gets into a like fight right before she leaves with her brother, like they're
Ooh.
arguing, and he like downgrades her.
oh,
He gives her a 1 star, and then the response
her
to
own
that
brother.
is that she can't get an airplane ticket because she doesn't meet the requirements.
Oh man, what a cock.
So then she starts then she gets angry with the like attendant, and that raised another flag. And
And she got
they
lower.
bring in the security, and they automatically deduct you like 2 stars for any kind of like getting irate. And
2
then
stars. Oh,
yeah, like so then she's like got to get a rental car, But she goes to get a rental car, and they won't rent her a good car because she doesn't have the credit score. So then she gets a crappy car, and then, nose dive.
It's all downhill
That's
from
what
there,
it is. And she ends up, like, hitchhiking, and she's down to, like, 1 star. She's a nobody, you know?
Right.
Nobody will help her. Nobody will talk to her. She has to stand at the back of the line, everything, you know?
See, and that's where, like, my only concern is I've always been fairly confident that no matter what happens with technology, I could always just opt out of it and be, you know, it's like, sorry. Because right now, if you don't have Facebook, that's cool. You know, if you don't have Facebook, no big deal. But
long as you
however,
you better have
18-year-old,
Pornhub.
Well,
if
maybe
you don't have Facebook, you're a fucking creeper.
Yeah, like,
it's
or,
scary to them that they can't look you up.
Yeah.
For a job. If you try to apply for a job and you don't have a Facebook, they're like, now I see you don't have a Facebook. I don't think we can hire you because I can't do a background check on Facebook.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, that's real.
Face.
Like, that's happened to me. Like, I remember in 2008 or 2007, I didn't have a Facebook, and it was suggested that I get one.
Fucking 13 years ago.
Yeah, well, still, I was like, Facebook, isn't that for college kids? Like, well, you know, it's a little better for your, you know, because we don't know you. I'm like, you're having an interview with me right now. I'm sitting in this fucking room.
You're going to get to know me.
Yeah, but, you know, you can see other people's opinions and this and that and blah, 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 blah. Like,
you're going to learn today.
No, man, it wasn't about, no, they didn't sell you on opinions. They sold you on, you get to see what all your friends, you get to share your art, you get to see what your friends are doing. Like, hey, man, listening out there, the coolest thing ever on Facebook when it started, like 2009, I remember I was able
Tom
to see.
From MySpace?
No, I was able to see my buddy Jason Swingle, might be listening out there. He was out in Maui, and he lived out there, and he did these videos where he would put a rope around him, and he would just run, like, and climb a coconut tree like he was a native of that world. And then he'd disappear up in the leaves, and then all of a sudden you'd see him lower down like,
and then he'd have
like
coconut
50 coconuts all tied on that rope.
Ooh.
And then he'd like do a thing, and like that was like what Facebook was about.
He
it
was ahead
about
of his time.
all my friends that were like
Coconut
all
milk.
over the place. You could like see what they were up to, people that moved
doing
away,
cool shit.
and all the cool shit they're doing. Obviously, like your art. Like, I almost think that was like the first time I ever saw. I think I told you that the first time I ever saw like your name or like recognized with like something was when you did that regular show on the car, like forever.
Right.
What was that? Like freaking 10 years
13.
ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's why I made Facebook.
And maybe that was just a shared thing that was from the past. You know what I'm saying?
Blast from the
But,
past.
But yeah, so it's like obviously it was able to like expand everybody's ability to like share what
Painted up a nice car so they could go crash it.
Yeah, well, I thought I was being a creeper by having Facebook because I was like in my late 20s and I knew it was for college kids. Like, because you had to be affiliated with some kind of college, or you had to be, there was something about Facebook that had something to do with colleges. I remember that, and I was like, fuck that shit.
Fuck it.
Well, that's what I remember
like,
too.
No,
I'd see that pop up, and all I thought was like yearbook, and I was like, oh, that's so like
yearbook.
so like I don't know what that word is, but that's not me. Whatever.
Oh.
Like all of a sudden you want to rejoin your like school spirit or
We're
something.
gonna get back on AOL. Class reunion.
Oh, well.
We need a class reunion.
Well, it was fun when I got my dad on Facebook.
Yeah, you did.
You know, he's like, oh, this and that, I don't know. And then, holy shit, man, because he was in a fraternity in college. You know, he played football and all that shit.
He was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a badass. And then all these people came out of the woodwork. You know, all of his ex-wives and shit. And I'm like, damn, what are you up to now? He was just, that was the beginning of the end. You know? Sucked him in.
The old leech.
Old Uncle Sucky.
Oh, Uncle Suck.
Josh.
Uncle Sucky.
You stole Josh's line.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Fucking A.
So I used to play this game when Josh and I were on the road. Josh likes to read street signs. or any kind of sign. Did I already say this? I already talked
No,
about this.
you
I'll say
haven't.
it
He
again.
You
likes to
haven't.
work on his vocabulary.
No.
When he's
Hard.
driving,
No.
he reads everything he sees, and depending on what he sees, it's like, he'll have like a different reaction. And another thing he does when he sees just random people, like a guy standing on a corner smoking a cigarette, he'd be like, there he is right there. Yep, old Uncle Smokey, and there he is, old Uncle whatever. And so I played a game, like under my breath, a point system, to where I'd try to guess. I'd read the signs and I'd guess which one, like which one he's gonna say, and I would like I'd bet myself. I'm like, I'll bet 10 points, that he's gonna say, oh, there it is, old Dickies. If there was a sign that said anything like that, I'm like, oh, he's gonna say that one. He's gonna read that one, And he'd just drive by, and it was a pretty fun game, man. I don't think I ever told him about it.
Nope, I didn't hear about it. But I straight up do that no matter what I see. Like,
Yeah.
long enough just to breathe, and then especially when we're in the busy.
Yeah.
When there's signs all over. Even when there's not, though, you always drive by something that...
In a sure shot, like I had to stop giving myself so many points for the customized license plates, the personalized license plates, because if there was one of those in front of us, there's no fucking way he wasn't going to read that. Because I'm sorry, if you have a customized license plate, you're a douche.
Yeah.
Unless you are a person that isn't a douche.
Unless you're
that has a
Tony
customized
Stark
license plate.
or something, right?
Yeah. If it
Every
says lawyer
fucking
up,
time,
that's
though.
a good one.
Every time, though, I fucking
Oh,
sure
man.
as shit.
Oh, Magic Mike, here's old Magic Mike. Here he is. There, going to get her done.
It's that's hilarious.
Yeah, I got him for
Oh,
days.
it's great. Because
Yeah.
in once in a while, like he'd read a sign, he'd be like, "Oh, there it is, the old, Wild Kitty, Wild Kitty waxing salon. There it is, there." And I'll be like, "Yes." And he's
Is
like, "What?"
that like
I'm like,
one of those-
"Oh, nothing."
Is that one of those things where he can't help but say the first thing that comes to his mind? Like,
Yeah.
he can't control how it comes out. It just is.
Not at all. He
There
just
might be.
sees
That
it,
might
and he
be,
just-
Josh.
He just sees it and see
It's
and
like
say.
see and say.
Yep.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Old Uncle Rusty's. Got to get your muffler fixed. Old Uncle Rusty.
Yeah, see, I say it, and then I give it a little behind the scenes, like,
Yep.
give it a name.
Yeah. If someone in front of him's pulling into the place, that's a shoe in too. Oh, gotta hurry up and get into that McDonald's there. You gotta pull in there and get yourself a fried
Quarter pounder.
McChicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't eat meat. Never eat there.
That's a good one.
So if you wonder, so once in a while he'd look at me funny when I'm like, yeah, 500. He's like, 500 what? I'm like, oh, nothing.
Yep.
Started with 10 and now I'm here. 500 points. It's like
500 got
see
there.
and say.
And then he'd get one wrong, big one. He'd do a daily double. Get one wrong. He'd be like,
Yeah, I'm
"God
like, Josh,
damn it."
did you not see that sign that says double D's drive in? Did you not see it?
Yep. Fucking A.
Me. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, man, it was a good
No
trip.
shit.
It was a hell of a drive. We took a couple drives out there.
Yeah. Man, I wonder how many hours it was. 30 days.
Who? Is that what it was?
It was 20. Well, no, because we split up when we got back near. Probably 17, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Best 17 days of your life. Fucking hanging
Oh,
out
yeah.
with Needham.
My life for sure.
Fuck.
Oh, speaking of the best days of your life, you got tagged in one of those albums.
Oh, man.
10 days, 10 albums.
Yeah, I got tagged in both, and yeah, all of it. Fucking.
And now you
I
gotta,
got
now you
that
gotta hear
too,
our
and I sent the
conversations.
guy a message. I said,
What, you like,
no,
don't
it-
tag me?
No, I was just like, I'm not gonna do it.
See, I mean,
Dude,
I have
I-
to have context behind mine, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is
Oh, you want to talk about it? See, this is perfect for
Yeah,
me.
well,
I don't have
why,
to say
man?
shit.
Why post an album? If you post an album, a full album, you know how hard it is to listen to a full album.
Yeah, that's why all my full albums are killer.
No, I mean,
that I
yeah.
got.
I definitely
They have
like
to mean
have some.
something.
I guess I just.
Yeah, the songs are all
I
good on
don't.
it.
I don't like the ones when they're like, now you got to paste this and then you got to make other people do it.
Oh,
'Cause
motherfucking
then
pasty.
then I feel a little invasive. So like, yeah, I guess like you said. It doesn't-
Well, unless it's flattering, because that's where, like, Josh got tagged in a Part 1 Tribe from James and Albright. But it's weird because he tagged Josh, but it was about me. So, but he put me in the comments because we used to listen. I bought a Part 1 Tribe. First time I ever heard him, Josh had him come play at the pub. And I'd never heard Part 1 Tribe. And I was like, sounds like a cool name. And he's like, oh, yeah, Needham. They're Needham's thing. And I was like, well, they're probably a reggae band. And, the whole Tribe and it's Needham's thing. But, you're shooing for good music if Josh likes it. And I tell you what, man, it was the best. Part 1 Tribe in whatever year it was, 08, 06.
Something like that.
Just the best. And we bought their CD and put it in the CD player and didn't take it out for a year. Like a long fucking time. And every morning we'd listen to the beginning where they were doing a little banter, and then they'd play the first song and we'd skip it. And then we'd play the rest of the CD. But every single morning, afternoon, whatever, when we woke up, we'd listen to the same song for a year. And it never changed. And it was now it's just, anytime I hear it, the opening chords of, was it Summertime?
Yeah. I think. Or Morning Sun.
Fucking just, some songs have like a spongeability, you know what I mean? To where they just suck in. They give you enough to where you can apply everything you see, and it gets sucked into the music. So when you hear it, it's the only thing you can think, and you can't form any new memories listening to it. It's just forever going to be that time. But that CD, Part 1 Tribe, man, what a fucking CD, man.
We were all standing there. What his first comment was is when Part 1 did the part like a movie.
Part 1 like a movie, Tribe like Indians.
Yeah, we were all standing right there. He told it to all of us. Or I think one of you guys asked him actually.
Hey, we got Phil chimed in. What up, fellas? Book peddler. Give another plug to our good friend Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Out in Smithville Flats, the book peddler.
Oh, yeah.
See him right there, made a comment.
He has a music doesn't he have a festival up there?
Yeah, we were out there. Ange played out there, man.
Yeah, well, I did the sound. That's right. I did a little bit of that.
You didn't
I
play?
heard of that, man.
I did play a little bit.
Yeah, you did play. You were
I
playing in
hadn't
the band.
Yeah.
Chris was out there.
It was awesome, though.
I was out there.
We had a great time. It was a good memory. We had
Yeah, I was out there.
Amber Martin.
Oh, yeah, Amber. She was out there with her
was awesome.
guitar.
Guitar.
So, yeah, Phil, yeah, thanks for tuning in, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
This is,
Hey, Phil.
hey, man, if you're just checking, this is our show, man. We just kind of shoot some banter when we have
Shoot it.
guests in here, which we're hoping to get you. We talked with Jesse about it, so,
Jesse.
yeah, we should just set that up. I told
Jesse.
Jesse he could have that Tuesday slot if he wants to come every Tuesday. And,
Jesse
he could do
Tressler?
that. Yeah.
He's the best, man.
If he wants to come on Tuesdays and play some songs and hopefully, get Nick. I don't, again, I don't know what everybody's comfort level is, but again, that room is unused other than Chris.
It's an unused room.
Chris scattering about, but we
Still
definitely keep it clean.
Yeah.
Front door doesn't get used by anybody, so it's basically a private entrance and private room that gets cleaned daily. So
Nothing like it.
there really isn't any one visit. Like I said, one person, a couple people coming
Hide
in
your
that
privates.
one door. And
Yeah.
if you guys are already hanging out together, then that's the only people you would be around. So man,
So
so Jesse, Phil,
Jesse.
join him. Play some harmonica.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. Do it.
Do it.
Come on in.
Do it. Yeah, man. He
Easy for you
hell
to
yeah.
say.
He said, hell yeah, let's
Easy
do
for
it.
you
Good
to
deal.
say. Whew.
Nice. Yeah, we got Kris keeping the music going in the background. In front of
Oh,
our,
Chris is out there.
sleeping lion.
Oh, I saw that. I watched that whole Buckshot's brother one, man. It was
Yeah,
good.
you did.
I didn't catch him
Beat
doing
off
that,
to your lion, didn't you?
I didn't catch the Ben Todd song right in the beginning. I
Really?
fucking love that one, man.
He does good version, man.
I love
Very
that
good
song.
version.
Yeah, that's the one that I
Hungry for You.
that was
Blues,
the
man.
yeah, that was like the first one.
I made Warner and
'Cause I've
Curtis
been
listen to
releasing
that
those as
album like
clips,
4
too.
times in a row.
Dude, we'll play that. Here, we'll do Hungry for You right now.
Right, Warner?
Yeah, we're gonna cut to that. Phil, we're gonna play this one for you. Show you what the sleeping lion looks like if you haven't seen it. If you're still
It's
tuning
on
in,
it's on the fucking film right now, isn't it?
it's coming right now.
Oh, thought it was already up.
Saw you crying in the pale moonlight. I was trying to set things right. Face to face, 1,000,000 miles apart. Walked away with my only heart. I can't complain, I'm a sad old tune. In my grave I'll remember you. From beyond I will call you soon. With this song I will carry on through. I spit and growl instead of breathing. I drank and howled for my healing. I carry round this crate of hateful feeling. Just trying to lose. Hungry for you. Stars align for us to be. In my mind you were everything. How one kiss could ignite the sea. Now you're mist and I'm diseased. I'm getting by on my friend morphine. Hope I die on this empty street. Though your mind wanders endlessly, don't waste your time pondering me. Do not waste your time pondering me. Yeah, I spit and growl instead of breathing. I drank in house for my healing, and I carried round this crate of hateful feeling. Just trying to lose those hungry for you blues.
All right, and we're back.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
You got to hear it, Warner?
Yeah, it's a good tune, man.
So it looks like we're gonna do. I was thinking, I'm gonna rehearse a couple songs tonight, and I'm gonna play a few tomorrow
Oh, he's
on the
announcing-
Sunday show.
He's announcing it.
I'm announcing it. All right.
What songs you think?
So you guys are
I don't know yet.
practicing tonight?
Maybe we'll talk about it after the show. We'll see
Sure.
what we can play. We got, we can play anything. Mutiny songs.
Something.
We could play.
Play with yourselves. So what do you got going on, Warner? Can't hear me, huh?
Good. That's probably a good thing, huh?
Nobody can hear me.
He's happy. You're muted.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I can hear you.
Oh.
Yes.
I can't hear him.
He was
You
cut out
can't
for the
hear him.
break.
Huh.
Huh.
But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello? I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
That's crazy. We lost him.
That's unreal, Warner.
Josh or me?
No, Josh.
Yeah.
You can't hear Josh, Ryan.
You can see me though, motherfucker.
How about now? Can you hear anything
he
different?
Can hear me now. Nope.
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 Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I don't know.
Motherfucker.
I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Well,
what do you think it is?
yeah, man. So,
Hello. What do you?
Can't hear you.
Yeah. What do you think happened?
Wish to speak to me?
Is that
oh,
Pooh?
wait.
Is that Winnie the Pooh?
For some reason it kicked out. All right, try now, Josh.
Warner. Danny. Warner.
There you go.
Oh, I heard that.
Ooh. What happened, Ange?
Kaylee.
Kaylee. Hey, Kaylee.
Warner.
Warner, you motherfucker. Danny.
Jesus Christ. Put a straight jacket on him, and we just. I'll put the green
Yeah,
screen.
Carol Bass.
I'll
Carol
put the green
Bass.
screen, dude.
Husband whacked him.
Because you got that white shirt on, it almost is a straight jacket. You
Yeah.
look like you're in one.
Them baskin bees
Just
coming
fucking
for
start
you,
ranting.
Warner.
Start ranting some nonsense.
Baskin.
Little Dicky.
Little Dicky's on the phone. Warner.
Oh, God. Goofballs.
Did we lose him?
No, he's with us.
Oh, no.
Oh. What are you up to down there? Just
Oh, no.
hiding out from your dad?
A little bit. It's cool though.
Oh.
It's getting better.
Yeah, you guys are hugging.
You know,
now.
I felt bad for them because they're hammering down on that pandemic documentary.
Oh, they're
I
still
put up air
going for
quotes
it.
when I said that.
They're still
They're just
going for
coming down so hard on people that shared it. He's a little embarrassed, but he didn't share it publicly. He just shared it with me.
it. Oh,
But oh well.
huh.
Nah, it's all good, man. It's scary, man. Like, I have like a sore throat.
Ooh.
Yeah, enough to make me go fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Right.
to be worried. No, actually, similar. I'm like always. I'm good though, because I'm always like, you know, I blow my nose or something, and you know, if it's clean, if it's clear, I'm like, I'm good. But you know, if all of a
What?
sudden you start seeing some yellow and you're like snot and stuff, then you know you're getting sick.
Oh no.
See, but my thing is, viruses, like, you know, oh, don't go outside, you'll catch a cold. No, man, that's not how it works. You know,
Oh.
cold weather doesn't give you a fucking cold.
Right.
You know,
However-
it's
However, Warner.
Uh-oh.
However, hold on, let me just run this by you. I don't know, but this is like something that I invented in my own head.
Here's a theory.
Because I always feel like there is certain reasons why these old things stuck around, like catch a cold.
Catch it.
Now,
Get your net out.
I think in my own little theory that there's a possibility. Like I don't believe you can catch a cold from the cold, but I do believe that in order to keep your body warm, then you have to use certain energy in your body. So then you're
and then
actually
it's cold.
so then your defense drops on your immune
With a cold
system
body.
because your body's working that way. So you're not going to catch a cold directly from the cold,
Catch it.
but there's like, and I could
not
be
going to help
wrong.
you fight it.
Get your pole out.
Am
and
I
catch
wrong?
it.
I don't know. Am I wrong? You can
No,
tell
I
feel
don't
ya.
know. I'm
But
not
you
a
see what I'm
fucking
saying? Like,
doctor.
Am
like
I
my-
wrong?
I don't know. You could be right.
That
I'm not
makes
a
sense.
doctor, and I don't
It's
play
a
one
it's
either.
a good combination to have if you want to catch a cold, to come in contact with someone that has a cold
You gotta
and
get a
be
tissue.
in the cold
And then
you know,
also have
sucking
your
up your
immune,
energy.
Yeah, also
Suck
have your
it
immune system down
up.
because you're
Right.
you're using
Energy.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking it's seasonal allergies. I mean, not that I have allergies,
that-
but you know, we're
Yeah,
we're
'cause
burning
you-
a wood stove,
And you, yeah.
yeah. That's
Snowing out.
you know, we've
That's
been going
smoky.
out, taking a lot of walks and shit.
Oh,
dry.
yeah.
That's really dry air, right? So is your air.
Yep.
The air's dry.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll do it, man.
He's got dry air
Humidifier.
Yeah, we got one.
in the bed.
Wait, maybe we have a dehumidifier.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know what we have.
Drying the place
What's that,
out
cold-
even more.
Cold air.
Dude, those Vicks vapor things. Just run those things.
Put a little Vaseline
Pushing
in
some
there, Warner.
moisture in the air.
A little bit of
Put some salt in there.
Ben Gay in there.
Carol
Ben
Baskin.
Gay. Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin.
Wait, I had something that was leading into.
Baskin?
It was gonna be a good thought, and now
You
I
had
lost
a
it. What were
good-
we just talking about?
He was thinking about good
throat.
thoughts.
What's that?
Sore
Living on a
throat, hiding
prayer.
out from my dad.
Yeah. Sore throat because you was
Yeah.
dick.
You know, I got invited to my buddy's house. He's Corona
What?
free,
What?
and he
Who
wants me to
did?
come to his house. He's like, "Come up, man. We're Corona free up here."
How the fuck do they know?
No shit, man.
What
You know,
is-
but I can't. You know, he's a
Motherfucking
good friend
doctor.
of mine. He's a trumper,
Yeah.
and but in the good way.
So
You know
you
what I
went
mean?
up.
That
Like
all.
he's not like you know, he doesn't oppress other races or anything like that, or you know, he doesn't feel
Right.
disenfranchised. He just likes watches 401k.
He's not
you
a
know.
religious zealot.
Right.
Nope, no, good.
He don't
he's a
like
good
the
old boy, man.
gays.
You know, he's just a Republican.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
like John
One of them
was
Republicans.
saying, man, you know what I mean? You can't. You're either on the team or you're not.
Right.
And some people's breaking point's a little further away.
right.
But anyway, yeah, come on up, man. Corona free.
Corona
And
free.
and I was like, shouldn't you ask me if I've been quarantining
Yeah,
before
he
you
don't-
invite me to your fucking house,
he
man?
don't care if you
You know what
got
I mean?
hippies.
You ask me
Warner.
if I have a sore throat,
herpes.
or if my parents just got back from Florida after staying in a hotel.
Yeah,
in
that's
North
again
Carolina.
why again, like even with here, when we like are inviting anybody to come play guitar, it's like I said before, the front entrance doesn't even get used.
No one uses
You know
it.
what I mean? That's basically that whole room where the lion is.
We use the back door.
is untouched, other than that's where Chris's spot is.
Enter
So there's
here.
one person
In the back.
that's there, and then
He's
we're
not a very
cleaning.
heavy breather.
No.
Old hot breath.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know how. I'm saying I don't know how far
To
like,
take it.
How far to take it?
He don't
you
know where to
And
take
yeah.
it.
There's different.
Back
Yeah, you're in a
door's
different
full.
situation now too because you have higher.
Elevation.
No, like
Right.
your older parents,
Did he say elevation?
elevated age people living with you.
I did.
Oh, nice. Wow.
I did.
Wow. That's great. You've been living with Josh for too long, and you can make his nonsense like part of what you're saying.
That was a good one.
Oh shit.
Fuck. Warner's like, whoa. Yep.
Did I
So
tell you guys he makes some really killer shirts, man?
Yeah.
T-shirts till it hurts.
Yeah.
T-shirts till it hurts.
Yeah. I like that one. That's
So
a good one.
I was I went to the bank, but
Yeah.
apparently they're not open on Saturdays at all now.
Right.
Um,
Because of the virus.
so I had to turn around and come back right in time to catch Cuomo's NPR. They cut off. NPR does a radio show every Saturday. I don't know if you know about this. Josh, you know about this?
Yeah.
It's like a variety show,
Oh yeah.
you know, where they have like a panel of people and they give them like bullshit scenarios and they got to find out which one's real and which one's fake and all
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
and like,
yeah.
Right.
I forgot what it's called. I think Wait, Don't Tell Me. That's the name of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Wait, Don't Tell
Don't
Me.
tell me.
Good show.
Great
So
show.
I'm listening to it, really getting into it, and I had my pick. You know, I listened to 3 stories. I'm like,
It's
oh, I
like
know
very
this one's bullshit.
clean. Like it's clean, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not. Like if
Clean.
you get like jokes, they push it, but they're very like
Right.
you
Like
know,
a freshly wiped
Very clean.
bottom.
Right.
and they have comedians on.
Yes.
Yep.
Not good ones. but
And
they have them on
so
there.
anyway, it was interrupted, and I was like, oh shit! But it was just
Oh,
interrupted
boy.
for Cuomo's daily briefing.
Mario.
and,
Oh, that's his boy.
So I'm sitting there, you know,
Andrew.
balancing my checkbook in the car and listening to it, and
Oh,
it was
checkbook.
the first well, maybe not the first, but I guess a pretty relevant death of a 5-year-old boy with COVID.
Yeah.
19.
Oh, there was I think I just saw something that there was there's like 3 cases of a rare
heart.
Is that what that was about? The same thing?
Yep, to where it's now, and what they're doing now is they're not playing the numbers game
Wait,
like
it gets worse.
fucking Josh's buddy Dr. Oz there on Fox and Friends. But it's where he's like, 2% death rate's pretty appetizing to reopen the schools. You know what I mean? Like 2%, what's 2%? And it's
That's
but
kids, asshole.
so even though it's a real small number, like an insignificant number of people, of child mortality, apparently 3 out of however many thousands of people that they got it in New York it's enough to where it's cause for concern. But it's it's pretty, because they've been running on the idea that kids can't get it,
Right.
or if they do get it, they don't die until now. So it's that was pretty disheartening.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's because that was my thing here. We got a 3-year-old, and
it's
the idea that he can't get it is, makes us a little more relaxed.
but also you're already, being as cautious as you can for your own safety of you don't want to leave him without a father or a mother either. So
right.
And then all of a sudden to think that they're at risk all of a sudden. I mean, even you just saying that right now made me go, Jesus, man. That's it's
well,
you
tough
heard
one, man.
there's the 14 different, the researchers.
I fucking missed everything.
Mutations.
Yeah, there's
I
14
missed
different
everything.
mutations of it.
Fucking
Yeah,
headphones
that's,
were out. I didn't hear
Well,
that.
there goes the fucking antibody idea then. If that's true,
I'm
then
serious.
no one's immune to
I'm
it.
not joking.
What's he saying?
We got him in the back seat. He's squirming. He's squirming in that straight jacket.
No, I
lost
couldn't
his
hear
thing off
anything.
again?
No, my headphones came undone. I couldn't hear
Lord.
anything.
You can
Well, how do you hear? I didn't get to hear Johnny Camp's entire thing because you were yelling through it.
I know, man. I was
That's
like,
great.
Jesus,
I didn't hear a
let the guy
word
up
he
there.
said. I was like, you should just mute. You ever play that game
No, you
where you
don't
watch
fucking
someone
mute
doing
me.
something and then you ad lib
me.
what he's saying? That's like Josh.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what he's saying. He's like, I'm up here just out here not working, sucking dick.
Yup. Oh, fuck.
It's true.
You got
Yeah,
that
that's when I
guy.
tuned in, man. I made a comment. I was like, mute that fucker.
You got that
I'm wondering
goddamn.
what my buddy Johnny Camp's up to.
You got that goddamn John
He
Nixon
goes-
fucking voice going on again.
That's it. I realized it when I watched it back. Spot on, man. It's spot
Nailed
on.
it.
It's Nixon's voice all day long.
Nixon.
Nixon.
What's up?
Holy shit.
Fucking
He
A.
he called in, like, right?
Yeah, he
way
called in
back
one
in the
time.
beginning, and then but
Back
we had a
one day.
bad connection.
Connection.
John?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to hear what he has to
We
say.
had him on.
But you know what? I didn't know it was him when we were on with him. I was like,
Oh.
wait, and then all of a sudden afterwards, I was like, oh shit, that was totally Nixon. Yeah, when I
Big
listened.
Nixon.
Oh, did he call up under the alias Dozer Nixon?
No.
I don't know
He
what
gets-
the
He
phone
gets
said.
booted from Facebook so much he has to.
He's got
Change
like
his
2 or
name,
3
I
Dog's
accounts.
profile.
Yeah,
We got a
he's
few of those friends.
Yeah. Well, because they're just.
They push it.
Yeah, they push it. They're the ones that would get beat by a cop because they just push it
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure, man.
all day long.
Well, man, I remember Nixon getting into it with somebody about something, and he just wouldn't back down, man. Like, the guy gave him plenty of chances, and Nixon's like, nope, I'm gonna keep saying it. Like, say it one more time. Nixon's like, I'll say it 10 more times, buddy.
I fucking say it.
Yeah, he ain't scared.
Yeah.
No, but he'd be a good one, man. I thought
You gotta
one
know
night
when to hold them.
that I was on his Facebook page scrolling through his feed
Right.
because, it's like Dozer Nixon, Dozer Nixon, Dozer Nixon. And I didn't even mind. I'm like, oh, I must have clicked on his profile.
Right.
And I'm scrolling down and just reading it, and I'm like, yeah, man, pretty cool. And then someone else's post comes up, and I was like, wait, how the hell did they post? Why is this person from, California posting, like my friend from California is posting on John Nixon's page? I'm like, how the fuck do they know each other? And but then I realized I'm on my own news feed, and Nixon was making like 4 posts a minute.
Fucking,
like,
hey, getting traction.
Yeah, headline news, and 4 posts in the same, like 942, 942, 942, 942, 943, 943, 943, 945. And he even has time to like write little things, but he has it down to where satire is dead, and we sit on its, and we sit on its corpse, or he'll say shocking, or like little things, or he actually has like, some kind of description of the post. But I mean, that he posts, man. He keeps it going. He's a freedom fighter, or whatever you would call someone that posts that much. And you wouldn't, judging by all his posts, you wouldn't be able to, you can't peg what side he's on. He has no side, man. The beast of no nation.
The libertarian.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. But man, I tell you what, he'd be a good person to have call in, man. Ask him some questions. And then you get him and Josh talking, you won't know which one's which. It would sound like someone's arguing with themselves.
Fucking A. Oh, Warner.
Sucking dick.
Smoking cigarettes and sucking dick.
They're gonna.
Or not. However, you hurt your throat somehow, Warner.
Yeah, you know what? Probably yelling at the kid.
Oh, you yell, huh? He's a yeller.
Yeah.
Old yeller.
But luckily, I caught it early enough. I mean, he is 3.
Right.
But I just read a really convincing article about why you shouldn't yell at your kids.
Yeah, you got to get him a shock collar, right?
Yeah, you got to go straight to physical pain. You can't,
Right.
Yelling doesn't do anything.
Yelling don't do shit.
But it has to be anonymous physical pain.
Right.
Like a shock collar.
Like a shock collar.
Like, bud, I didn't hit you. I'm standing over here.
Yeah.
You must have been struck by
Tied
God
around,
by saying no to me.
In his
Bam.
in his
Hey,
shorts,
buddy,
belt
wasn't me.
loop.
Let me come to your rescue, because that's how
Yeah.
you do it with dogs.
Yeah.
Because when dogs know that you hit them because they're bad, then they have animosity towards you, or they're
Right.
scared of
But if you
you, or
hook a
whatever.
shock
But
collar
when
up
you
to their
shock collar them,
balls.
they're just like, oh wow, that's the universe.
Electroids.
You know?
Balls.
But it's no, it's just about kids go into they like revert in their brain to a safe place when you yell at them. They're
Right.
you I don't know what it's called, man, but you like you shrink them down. It doesn't do any good.
Right.
Obviously, it doesn't do any fucking good. I learned that. Can't
Right.
yell like. If he gets mad at me, points. He's a for 3, man. He's a brave little shit.
Right.
I've never hit him. He has no reason to be afraid of me, but he fucking should.
Throat
He's not.
chops don't count.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can scare grown people, and I can't scare
Really?
a 3-year-old.
Huh.
You gotta be kidding me, man.
I'd like to see these grown people you've been
Oh,
scaring.
you are just getting started.
Yeah. Oh, I know, man. Oh God, I couldn't imagine.
Huh. Yeah, ask old Father Angelo.
Yeah,
Fucking.
no shit. No shit.
He's got himself a teenager.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's gotta
I
be
would have
tough,
done a lot
man.
of things differently.
Like what?
Just like, handled like situations better.
like
Well,
shock, shock therapy.
Does any of that apply to when he was 3? What can you tell me, Ange? We can turn this into a fucking parenting special.
Nah, man.
No.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Don't take my advice. That's what I'd tell you. First thing I'd say.
You're the only one in America that's saying that right now. Jesus Christ. I thought you were speaking Spanish for a second. I didn't even know what those words mean. Don't take my. Who says that anymore?
Fucking A.
Oh man.
He's not a doctor.
It's just
Oh.
Or
it's
a
just
liar.
interesting how you want things to be a certain way,
And they
and
go the
you
opposite.
like can push it so far that it turns into the opposite. You know?
Right, like that story of the dude that banged his mom and killed his dad.
Right.
I hear ya.
Oh man.
Oh, rear end coming.
Sorry for those of you out there who don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But
Sorry
you never
can't
know.
listen to the show while you're making dinner.
Yeah.
You never know.
Having little Debbie cakes.
Yeah. You never know. You never know what the end result, and actually all the time, not some of the
Actuality.
time, it's never going to be the way you expected it. Nothing can go according to a plan that can't exist because it hasn't been made before you reach the forks.
Well,
It makes sense, man.
about that time of the day.
Is it?
Yeah, I think that the key, you
It
know,
is.
I still think the key is love, even though
Right.
I have questioned that, like whether or not the idea of pre-50s,
Oh,
you
the
know,
hard
psychology was that fathers shouldn't
Coddle
hug
their
their
little-
children, and really
Right.
it's maybe like once a year. But that's why you see, like, even the old time, it's more like handshake, and even the hippie movement was about,
You ain't handshaking no more.
you know, Mister's my dad,
motherfucker.
you know, don't call me sir,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
my dad, because it's like, it was a change
Yeah, I
in
make
like
a
the way
point
the
to call
world
a lot of
was.
people sir
It wasn't about, it didn't need to be about
or ma'am. Hey, ma'am.
respect. I don't know, like it just, things change. And then they cycle around, it swings, goes one way, goes the other way. Good reasons.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Because we're doing the whole, you know, like co-sleeping and stuff, like letting the kid come into bed and everything, like putting him to bed and like laying down with him and everything. There's a bunch of people that are against it, and then you know there's people that are for it, and you know both are doctors and.
See, now
You
here,
know, it's-
there's one that I can speak to, and this is here's
Ooh.
my experience.
Don't do it.
Like coming, I think like I tried, you know, I had a little kid bed, and I remember, you know, my son just needed me to hold his hand, and I'd sit there, but I'd already, you know, work a full day, man, living like that 8 to 5 life, and I'd end up falling asleep pretty much before he did, just with my
Right.
head in my lap, pretty much, you know. And then, yeah, he would fall asleep. So then all of a sudden I'd wake up and, you know, have a broken back. And, yeah, I just think,
Old Brokeback Mountain.
and I was just always like, man, to just be like, lights out, shutting the door. Oh, no night light for you. You know, like to
lights
be
out in
on
the
that level.
bunkhouse.
It's like, oh, man, what's so awful, you know? And then,
Seems like it.
but I don't know, man. I just feel like
don't know.
long term is it's I don't know. Like I said, you can only have the experience from your own, but I think like I think now that it's more like you should really push that. I mean, you know, a circumstance like every once in a while you need, you know, you want to let them know that they can come, or they can come see you,
They
or
can come
if they're
visit.
scared, but
You and mommy.
you know, I guess that's how I see it now, is that I think
Come visit.
I think I'd be more like, look, it's important for you to reach that next level of being able to not be afraid and be independent.
Because
you
you're
know?
going to have a girlfriend soon.
See, we had it with him. We were putting him to bed, and it was
Ooh.
like we thought it was going to be tough because you know he needed to be rocked. We just rock him. I'm sitting in the glider right now because we don't use it anymore, so it's in my studio, and I love it. The glider, man.
Yeah.
So we used to rock him till he fell asleep, and for some reason I was the only one to put him to sleep. Like Stacy couldn't put him to sleep, but I could rock him, and I'd put him to sleep no problem. Bounce him on my knee, put him to sleep, whatever. And then you know people, you know, I'm following everyone's advice. So we finally started putting him down in his crib. Same thing. I'd hold his hand like through the slats on his crib, and then you know we were putting him to bed just fine. But then came the point when he was, I don't know how old he was, but he wouldn't let us hold him anymore. Like we'd pick him up and I'd just want to hold him. I want to hold my little baby. and he's like squirming and kicking, and I'm like, God damn it, just be a baby, man, just sit still.
What
And
the
he wouldn't do
fuck?
it, but at night, at night he would. And one day, I just realized how fucking big he was, and I was like, oh man, he's not a baby anymore. Like his little belly went away, and his legs got long, and it was just weird, and he just wasn't a baby anymore. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, it's gone. I was like, how the fuck did that happen? And he was growing so fast. I saved a snowsuit from when I was a kid, and I saved it my whole life, and I knew my kid's gonna wear this snowsuit. And he grew so fast. He was born in the wrong month, and it wasn't in the right season. You know what I mean? Like he fit into it in the summer, and then when the winter came, he was too big. And
He's
it's
a
like,
big
Jesus,
boy.
that's how fast he grew. But that's when it reverted, is he started to want to be held again at night. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this, man. I'm like, come on over here, bud. Climb out of that crib, like right here, And I, same thing as you. I'd be tired as shit. So I'd take him into my bed. I'm like, you want to lay down with me? I'm like, come on, man. Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do this.
What do I care? I'm here anyway.
Yeah,
and then
man. I'm like, you're growing up so fast. I'm not going to get to hold you anymore. And now it's like looking into the future. I'm like, uh-oh. Because now we need to not rock him to sleep, but we need to be there next to him, while he falls asleep.
I'm out of here.
And now we want to work it the other way. But
thanks for having me.
Sure, you
someone needs to rock Josh to sleep for his nap today.
We just did.
I'm
we just
out
did.
Of here. You just
That's
did.
what he
I don't have
thinks.
any kids. I can't. I'm not gonna input on your good child father advice here.
It's not advice. I'm
Well,
just talking. That's all I can really say.
Well, he was talking.
I guess.
I don't.
Scary
I mean, with
Josh
mine,
almost had a lot baby this year.
What the fuck? No.
Yeah, man.
Isn't that right, Josh?
No, he
You know what?
didn't.
One last thing though on that, Ryan. Honestly, that I was thinking, if I really wanted to give any advice, as whatever I know, then I
have
think
another one.
it's just like anything in life.
Thanks for having me. I'm out.
To remove
Later, brother.
your own ego from the parenting. Like I've been in so many, like I was saying earlier about later, Josh, about picking our battles, and it seems like the battle I always chose to pick is the ego route. Like, you're not respecting me. Like,
oh my God, I say that to him all the time.
And
I say that all the time. I was like, you're being disrespectful.
I'm your father, and father.
Yeah, I say that shit all the time.
Respect. So I'm not attempting to criticize, because it's easier said than done. So I still get, constantly go through that. It's like, just trying to get a teenager out of bed when a quarantine's going on, and, he doesn't have to be to school, and nobody's,
your bullshit rules.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what I'm saying.
I do, man.
So, and I just still find myself doing that, and then that's what I always regret. So looking back, of anything that I most regret was that my need to be like respected as a father caused me to be unrespectable.
Wow.
Yeah, mAng and Neads Show went deep right there.
Yeah, buddy.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
I needed to hear that, man. I say that 5 times a day, man. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. And what I realize is he's mirroring everything I do. He points at me. He points in my fucking face. And he's like, I will not do that. And I'm like, what did you... And I'll sometimes I make a face at him. You know what I mean? Like, I'll try to intimidate him. And then he doesn't do it right away, but he'll make that face back at me sometimes. And I'm like, what? But he doesn't realize, because then he gets snatched up, and it doesn't work. And then I realize I'm fighting with a fucking mirror, man. He's doing what I'm doing. But basically, he's one step away from telling me that I'm disrespecting him. I'm sure that's going to come out of his mouth any day now.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
And then, and then now that, my son's older, and I got a daughter that's not as not in some areas not as difficult.
Right.
But it's tough, man, being a parent. That's what it comes down to. It's a tough job, and it's important, but it's tough.
No shit, man. Yeah, at least we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll let you sign off, man.
Yeah.
What are you gonna play an outro?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna let Kris play us some music if he wants to for a few minutes. We'll close it out.
The mood music?
Because Kris is in.
I love it, man.
People come towards us. Ooh.
All right, Ryan. Everybody
Later, buddy.
listening to the mAng and Neads Show, everybody that tuned in, appreciate it. Uwa took off, got past dinner time, started a little late, but if you didn't subscribe, please do. Peace.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
Yeah.
Later, buddy.
Later, man.